everyone, thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. I hope you are all having a wonderful day. So today we are going to be talking about Nocturne by Alyssa Wees. This is supposed to be a really, I guess, an urban fantasy. It takes place during the 1930s Chicago during, the Great Depression. And it's kind of supposed to be like Beauty and the Beast meets Phantom of the Opera, and those are two things that I kind of really love. However, unfortunately, I did not love this book. I struggled to get through this book, and the reason is because it's not even a really long book. I thought, oh, I can read this in like 2 days. No, it took me a full week to read this book. It drags a lot, and let me just, the story follows Grace, and she's the new prima ballerina, and she basically, gets a new sponsor, right? The new sponsor is Master La Rosa, who is, as you discover, he's like the Lord of Death. But unfortunately, there's really not a whole lot of development into their relationship, so you don't really see that romance build between them, and I wanted to see that romance build between them because I think it would have added a little bit more tension to the story. It's like the author dragged out a bunch of scenes that didn't need to be dragged out, that did take away from the tension and the overall story, because I would be in those moments, and once the emotional impact hit, the scene kept going, and I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to get bored, and I would lose that emotional impact that I got from reading the initial scene. And then there were other scenes that I just wanted her to keep exploring, because I'm like, oh, you've introduced a really nice element here. Can we, get a little bit more? Can we get... And a lot of those moments had to do with like the romance with Master La Rosa. A lot of those were cut short, I felt. And I wanted more of that because it really would have added more emotion to the story. And I think it really would have added a whole lot more tension to the story. It was just kind of lackluster, ultimately. It really was, unfortunately, lackluster. There also wasn't a whole lot of characterization either. I was really disappointed by that lack of characterization. I wanted to feel a stronger connection with Grace as a character. Honestly, I think her best friend had a stronger personality in the story, probably because she didn't let the Great Depression kind of get her down. But her best friend in those scenes that she was in, she stole the scenes over our main character. I wanted, more of her story. Because Grace is she's very depressing almost, and I get it. You're in the Great Depression. She's had a tough life. They've all had a tough life. They've all lost someone they loved, and it's tough for everyone. But she lets it break her down. I will say, near the end, she does find her strength, and she does become... But she finds her strength because of her friend, She understands that she was used, and she was tricked, and she is very clever. But you don't see her cleverness until the end of the story. I really wish we had gotten hints of that early on. Again, that cleverness that she explores... That's something I wish had been explored more so throughout the story than just in that last quarter of the story. It was such a breathtaking moment to see her win that it stole the show. Now, that's not to say that the book was terrible. It wasn't terrible. It was unfortunately slow, yes, but it wasn't a wholly bad story. I think if this book, pardon me, I think if this book were adapted into an opera or a ballet, it would be absolutely beautiful and masterful. It would oh my God, it would take my breath away. Because when I was reading this book, I got the sense, yes, I understand that she is a ballet dancer and they are learning to be a ballerina, and she's learning this new role in this new story, but that's what leapt off the pages. It was very lyrical. It was very atmospheric. Sometimes in those scenes, I felt like I was watching an opera or I was watching a ballet come to life. And I think if this whole novel were adapted into one of those, it would take the world by storm. I do not doubt that. It was beautiful in that sense. And those are the scenes where I really lost myself and I really felt that emotional impact of the book and really lost myself in the story. It was good. It just could have been better, honestly, because for the most part it felt very dry. It felt very dreary. I wanted a little bit more. I wanted that tension to be explored more. I wanted that romance with Master La Rosa to be explored more. I wanted it to be explored more, but that doesn't take away from that atmosphere that Weiss was able to build. Again, I think this book would be a master for opera and ballet. And if there's anyone who's listening to this who works in that field, please adapt this because it would be absolutely beautiful. And I really do think it would take the world by storm that way. But, for the most part, it was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it did drag and it didn't hold my attention from beginning to end. So it gets 3 out of 5 stars. Not a bad book, but it could have been better. So if you want to purchase the book yourself, I will of course include links in the description on where you can purchase them. And on that note, thank you again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. Please don't forget to like the podcast. Pardon me. Like the podcast, subscribe to it, and share it with all your book-loving friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, happy reading.